Hi, I'm Sean, and I wanted to share my experience adopting during the COVID pandemic. So, first, a little background. We adopted about 10 years ago before COVID. And here in New Jersey, at least, the way it works is regardless of the age of the child, in this case, a newborn, you are a foster parent for the first 6 months while they work through the legal procedures. And basically, at the 6 month anniversary, is when you can go to the court, stand in front of the judge, and the judge can then put your name on the birth certificate. So the first experience we had, it went like clockwork. Basically, a few days after our baby was 6 months, our family and friends showed up at the court, and we had our hearing, and it was really an emotional experience. We had our family and friends as witnesses, and the judge was really just such a special person and really touched all of our hearts. Basically, the judge expressed how happy they were to be part of this procedure, because most of the time, a judge's day is filled with negative experiences having to do with criminals and sadness and trauma. But on a day like this, where the judge could see that we had all our family and friends supporting us and everybody was very excited and feeling very positive about what was going to happen, the judge noted that this was the best part of her job, and she could see that the baby was going to have a network of people that love and care for them, in addition to the parents, myself and my husband. And just, there wasn't a dry eye in the house. I'm pretty sure I saw the bailiff even crying a little bit, because it was really a magical moment and it touched us, and I'll never forget that. So that was our first experience, a traditional in-person hearing in front of a judge in a courtroom in the county court. Now, fast forward 10 years, and about a year before the pandemic started, we had another placement, a newborn that was up for adoption. And we expected the same thing would happen. Unfortunately, COVID put the brakes on everything. Now, I'm going to explain some of the emotions you go through as a foster parent expecting to adopt. You're basically on edge, because until you are legally the adoptive parent, the child can get taken away for whatever reason. So you're always in the back of your mind concerned that's going to happen. In a normal scenario, you only have to be on edge for 6 months until you get the court hearing for permanency. But in this case, COVID hit and the courts closed down, as did most of the world. The thing is, when you're a foster parent, you have monthly visits from your caseworker. And talk about first responders. I know nurses and policemen get a lot of attention, but these caseworkers were first responders. They showed up at our house with masks when everybody else was staying home to make sure everything was okay. It was really an experience to see just how hard they had to work and the risks they were taking to do their jobs. There were some virtual visits, but when nobody else was leaving their houses, they were leaving their houses and following the safety protocols to make sure the kids in foster homes were having their visits and were secure and safe. We were on edge because instead of a 6 month waiting period, when you're concerned about something falling apart and the baby getting taken away, it was over a year for us. I think it was about a year and a half between the time the child was placed as a newborn to when they could schedule the hearing. And our baby was actually 2 years old when we had the hearing. And at that point, the courts were not meeting in person. We had a virtual hearing. It was a Zoom call, and we invited our family and friends to participate in the Zoom call. And the judge basically saw all the faces and said, wow, there are a lot of people on this hearing, and said something very positive and really made us feel special. But it was a virtual hearing, right? It's not the same thing as being in a courtroom and feeling the experience in person. But nonetheless, despite being on edge that something would happen and the adoption would fall apart, we were granted permanency, and my husband and I were put on our baby's birth certificate at 2. And this was why trying to adopt during COVID was extremely emotional because it was such a challenge having to manage that fear and uncertainty that something was going to happen for that long. Fortunately, the COVID pandemic is behind us. So I wanted to share that experience. And all I can say is, thankfully, that's behind us now. So people can have their hearings in person and not have to wait so long for permanency. So that was our experience adopting during COVID. I want to hear from you, though. If you're interested in this topic, if you have any other questions, let me know in the comments. Please subscribe here or there. And there's a playlist for other adoption-related videos as well. Thanks very much.